Hi guys, this is Tormod and I would like to do a video here about my process, my living, my view, if you may. Basically what I want to say is that I'm still here. I'm still here fighting, or working my way through my mind and facing some difficulties, perhaps facing some challenges, and what I want to say is that I've talked to people that are mentally ill. I've talked to people that are doctors, that are nurses, that are healthcare workers. I've talked to politicians. I've talked to students, to kids in school, to farmers, all sorts of people, like we do. We surround with all these people, and we have been struggling as humanity against psychiatry for quite some time now. I mean, long before the movement became popular intellectually with Lenin or Satz or Foucault, before their time, psychiatry was started, you could say. So basically, since then we've been having this great lack of trust, this rejection of government institutions, this very pivotal, with like in the United States of America, where we have Donald Trump as a president, which is very much like the symptom of this mental illness that we face, because let's face it, we are all mentally ill on this earth. There is nobody on this earth that are sane, completely sane. We are all, in our own way, mentally ill or mad. We all have our thing. We all have these avenues and habits and addictions and thoughts and beliefs about life and ourselves and the world or our relationship that are not sane, that are rather insane. And in that matter, we are all more or less mad. And by those terms, I would like to say that I very much support the mad studies movement of psychiatry. I very much support that. And because from the fact that in this life we are all equally in this life, in this mess, in this chaotic world, to bring sanity, to bring equality and oneness, to bring a good life for all, because we can create that if we allow ourselves to take the responsibility for ourselves and the world at large. If we are brave enough and real enough to take responsibility, the ability to respond within ourselves, without ourselves. Because, like I said, I've talked to all sorts of people, doctors, nurses, patients, and I can tell you for sure that I have found the very healing point from within myself, from looking into me I see, from looking into me, from learning to understand my mind, from learning to understand my beingness, from learning to understand myself as honesty, as integrity, from learning from my temple, my physical flesh, from learning this and learning to trust myself as the physical, as my beingness, from forgiving myself. And right there is the sacred triangle, geometry triangle of forgiveness, where I can forgive myself, and from this self-forgiveness I can understand the point, I can understand the matter, I can understand the memory, the point, the reaction within me, the whole thing. I can understand it from having forgiven it in great detail. I can understand it, and then I can move to change. The triangle of forgiveness, understanding, and change. Forgiveness, understanding, change. Forgiveness, understanding, change. That triangle is what you might call a sacred geometry, a sacred triangle, because it very much liberates the life essence within us, within me, me example. I have walked an extensive process, and I'm still walking my process this very day. I have walked my process through my schizophrenic mind, being with voices, with beliefs, delusions, imaginations, fantasies, desires, fear, paranoia, backshots in my head, personalities of various kinds, a lot of mental trash, a lot of mental garbage, mental programs within my mind, within my being, that have been enslaving my body. There have been lots of mental programs, mental systems, okay, that have been enslaving my beingness and my physical body, the flesh. Okay? This is what we see with all of humanity. And I have made my purpose to work my way, as an example, within the field of psychiatry and schizophrenia in particular. But in psychiatry, I've lost many friends to psychiatry. And I've talked this over to my family, to doctors, to nurses, to friends, to all sorts of people, in face-to-face or over internet, on YouTube or Facebook, in meetings, in to students, to teachers, all sorts of people. And they all say that, yes, you're right, Tormod. Self-forgiveness is the way. To forgive the self is the best way. And might I say, the only way to really, really uncover self's potential. To really, really discover who self is beneath the layers of mind programs and mind systems, like we see in Matrix movies, for instance. If we can forgive all that energy, all those trauma, all that drama, of circumstances, of commotion, of noise, of voice in the head, of personalities, of ego, of mind, of consciousness, all those things, metaphysical noise and structures of mind, if we can find a way through all that, all those programs, if we can find a way through all that commotion, you know, and that is what we present to you from Destiny. We say here, look at this example. Okay? Look at self-forgiveness. Give it a try. Try it out for yourself. Test it out for some weeks, for some months. And you will find that forgiving the very self for what have been accepted and allowed to go on over time within self has a physical relieving effect, a very physical relief of conspiracies and bundles and, you know, pain and commotion, energies within self. I have lost my brother. I have lost my fiancé. I have lost very many people in the field of psychiatry, drugs and suicide. You know, and so what that tells me is that since I'm able to stand here in self-honesty, in responsibility with myself as an, you know, integrated part of this life, I'm able to share my finding and share the tool of self-forgiveness, because none of us can just say that, oh, I don't need self-forgiveness, I'm fine with just this or whatever. It just doesn't work like that, because we are all, like I say, we are all more or less mentally ill. All people have some kind of madness or mental illness to them. Okay? There are no normal people. Okay? They don't exist. So, you know, and for me, having walked with schizophrenia, through my mind and forgiving all the commotion, all the details, all the energies, all the conspiracies within and as my mind, my being and my body, when I was able to forgive that, I could feel a relief of breath. It was easier for me to breathe after having forgiven myself over time. So, you know, when I find this key of self-forgiveness, it is very hard for me to not present this to the world as a, what shall I say, psychologist solution, a self-healing therapy. Okay? Many people preach that psychiatry and mental patients needs love. Okay? In many ways I would say that's correct. But we need a specific type of love. And that love doesn't come from somebody else, doesn't come from some source externally. It comes from within, and as the very self that is to receive the healing. If I am supposed to be loved by somebody else, I must first learn to love me. And I can have as much support and guidance and assistance as whatever. The help and the forgiveness must come from within me. It is to learn to understand what and who self really is. To understand, to learn to work through the mind and take responsibility for the mind, because hey, the mind is going to be there. I'm not going to run away from my mind. I mean, some people think they can do that with using drugs or alcohol or whatever, addictions, TV or porn or whatever, to use some sort of addictive to escape one's mind, to escape one's memories, one's trauma, one's drama. But that will always come back to you. All those demons of mind will always come back to you and bite you, you know? So, yeah. For me, I just want to say that for me to forgive myself is such a deep and self-intimate and very, what shall I say, brave discovery of myself. It is a very intimate, vulnerable. It's like I'm very vulnerable and very fragile within this, because I know that my mind is rigged and programmed and structured in a way that it does not, in a way that it will sort of try to imprison me. I know that my mind wants to try to lock me down into suppression, into denial, into anger or polarities of energies, feelings and emotions, bum, 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 up and down, positive, negative. I know that my mind is rigged and programmed to drive me into polarity of positive, negative, good, bad, right, wrong, plus, minus, up and down. My mind is rigged with consciousness. My mind with consciousness is rigged that way, okay? It has been designed that way. So I must then therefore be aware of, okay, how can I, change this? How can I change myself in relation to this? How can I become responsible within this? To forgive the energy addiction, being it emotion or feeling, to forgive that addiction as my madness. To forgive the energy addiction and stop all the thinking, the thoughts, thinking all sorts of stuff about whatever that is just making me lesser than, inferiorizing myself, So as much as you can see that this is very much a journey through the mind, understanding of the mind and psychology and existentialism. And that is where it's at. Because between the mind, the being, and the physical body, there's a triangle again of forgiveness, change, understanding. Another triangle, sacred geometry. What I want to say is that I'm still here. I am one vote, I am one voice and one vote to totally change, and I mean totally change, the game of psychiatry, okay? Because it is a game, very much a money game as a matter of fact. It is very much a money game as a matter of fact, okay? And with types of therapy or whatever, how you view it, So I'm one voice, and I am very, very, very certain that I have the very element, the very key for self, the individual, to become self-mastery, to master self. And that key is self-forgiveness. I have the very key for self, the schizophrenic, the PTSD, the ADHD, the OCD, the whatever diagnosis, whatever label or brand or madness that calculates you. Okay? Self-forgiveness is the key to improvement, to a more lighter breath, because when you forgive the energy constructs within memories, you release the conspiracy, the bundle, the hardness, the difficulty, the struggle, the fight, the war, the voice in the head, the struggle within. When you forgive it and you unite with yourself in understanding, and then be able to change. Forgiveness, understanding, change. Forgiveness, understanding, change. Because if I understand something, I'm not able to judge it or blame it anyway. So self-forgiveness, self-understanding, and self-change. Okay? I am one voice, I am one vote for self-forgiveness. I cannot do this for you. I can walk my process through this life on earth, doing what I can to expose and share my finding of self-forgiveness into my eyes of forgiving myself. I can only share myself. I cannot force this upon anybody, like they force mental treatment on people in psychiatry and prisons and schools. Okay? I cannot force this upon anybody. Individually, you must choose this self, to choose to heal self, or just continue on ranting and raving and going into addictions, polarities, right, wrong, good, bad, positive, negative, okay? Addicting to the polarity again, you know? So, I am here, I am, healing myself with forgiveness. It is a process, it is not done overnight. It can be difficult, definitely difficult, but it's worth it in the long haul. I know that for sure. And if it wasn't real, if it wasn't proof, you could say, I wouldn't be here today, okay? If self-forgiveness wasn't real, I wouldn't stand here in front of you, talking to you like this. So, if you have questions or comments or whatever you wonder about me, schizophrenia, mental illness, self-forgiveness, or how to heal self, how to work with self, I am here. Let's chat, let's communicate, let's respect ourselves, and thank you very much and enjoy.